Right now, as you're watching this, something strange is happening. You are taking in the pixels on this screen, and simultaneously, you are aware of yourself watching them. You could pause, ask why you clicked this video, or observe your own attention span wandering. An ant doesn't pause to do that. A dog doesn't critique its own thought process. A tree certainly doesn't. You just turned your mind on itself, and that specific action is entirely unique to our species. We usually define humanity by biology, pointing to opposable thumbs, upright walking, or sheer brain size. But the true distinction lies in psychology. What separates us is a highly specific trick of cognition, the ability of the mind to turn around and examine its own internal operations as if they were physical objects on a table. Plenty of animals possess environmental awareness. They notice predators, track food, and feel temperature changes. Humans possess meta-awareness. We catch our own thoughts mid-flight. Psychologists describe this as the capacity to reflect on a perception. It's the moment you question whether your senses are being fooled, whether a memory is accurate, or if a decision you made was actually sound. This internal reflection allows you to hold your actual choices up against an imagined better version of yourself. That comparison is what creates regret. It is the same mechanism that lets you plan for a future self that doesn't exist yet, plotting a path based on the person you used to be. Otherwise, life is a stream of raw sensory inputs. Self-awareness organizes all that data into a cohesive narrative, creating a continuous story where you act as both the narrator and the main character. Now, point that same internal mirror outward. When you walk into a crowded room, you instantly, almost automatically, begin modeling what the people around you are thinking. You calculate who is annoyed, who is friendly, and who is lying. This is known as theory of mind. It's the psychological capacity to understand that other people carry around independent beliefs, desires, and feelings. To do this successfully, you must recognize that their internal world is entirely separate from yours, and that their perception of reality might be completely wrong. Running this simulation requires massive computational power. Your brain juggles conflicting perspectives. It uses language to lock them into a structure and relies on baseline self-awareness because modeling someone else's mind builds directly on reflecting on your own. Understanding another mind is technically impossible until you recognize that there is a you and a them to begin with. Self-awareness provides the baseline reference point for every interaction you will ever have. But human interaction is rarely a cold, robotic calculation. Underneath the logic and the reflection lies an older, affective core. We share this primal layer of biology with other animals, and it exists long before high-level self-awareness switches on. The sequence works like this. We experience a raw, physical feeling first. Then we notice that we feel it. Next, we analyze what that feeling means to us internally, and finally, we question what it means to the people around us. Ultimately, our psychology relies heavily on biology. All of our complex, reflective thinking machinery is built directly on top of and powered entirely by raw animal emotion. This brings us to a strange realization about the self. Your sense of who I am is not a fixed, hidden object sitting deep in your brain, waiting for you to discover it. Instead, theorists argue we have a deep biological need to construct and defend a subjective identity, because the solidity of that identity is the foundation of psychological well-being and mental health. That identity is constructed piece by piece socially. We assemble our self-image by observing how we are reflected in the minds of others. You are a collage of reactions and relationships. Remove other minds from the equation, and the individual self loses its structural integrity, collapsing entirely. A mind learns to look at itself, points that exact lens at the minds of others, and then builds its own identity out of everything it sees reflected back. This cycle is fragile and deeply interconnected. It means that while your body might be solitary, your mind is a collective effort, a structure that cannot stand without the presence of others. You are you, aware of being you, shaped by every single mind that has ever looked back at you. We only become ourselves by trying to understand each other.